meet the METS. Step right up and greet the METS. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the METS are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS METS from New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the METS! Oh, they're hollering, they're cheering, and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the METS! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball from the METS of New York town. Give them a yell! Give them a hand! And let them know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the METS. Meet the METS. Step right up.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut. The amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut. And here we are back live and from New York City. I'm going to talk about the Mets' disastrous 2021 season. Now, before we get into that, please like the video. And, of course, if you're coming through, subscribe. Hello, Pat Cole. Hello, Sean Zarnecki. How's it going? It's been a long year. And we're going to go through all this stuff. I was taking a lot of notes as I was out during the day. And I was taking notes during the game. Just certain points in the season that seemed kind of looking back on it, they were important. And we'll go through some of the players. And we will go through, obviously, what the Mets plan on doing going forward. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff we got to talk about, and hopefully you'll be there to watch. So I will have a video in the next day or two, I would assume, when the Mets decide to fire. And they're going to fire him. I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to fire the manager, Luis Rojas. I think that's pretty obvious at this point. A couple of things before we get into the Mets a little bit. See, I've already pre-recorded a video a couple of days ago about Louis getting fired. So I will have that ready to go as soon as the news hits tomorrow. He's going back to New York to clean out his office. And he has not spoken with Sandy Alderson. So I'm going to assume that he'll probably talk to them face to face, and they'll announce it tomorrow that Louis is gone. So was not a big fan of his. I think that it was pretty obvious. I mentioned that a lot in the offseason, but we'll get into that. A couple of sort of notes, and I'm going to show you the standings a little bit. Obviously, a couple of things. Let me find my take my banner down. Talk about the standings just a little bit and what's going on in Major League Baseball. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened tonight. There's going to be a couple of wild cards, big wild card games. And let's get into this. Hello, Crispy Cruiser. So a couple of things. All right. The Red Sox and the Yankees are going to play in a wild card game in Boston. Toronto won today, but they got eliminated. The Mariners were losing out in Seattle, and they, I guess, basically they're out of it too. So they're gone. So it's the Red Sox against the Yankees in Boston. And this will be Tuesday night. The Rays had an incredible season. Let's go through some of the teams before we get into the Mets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 490 win plus teams In the American League, in the American League East, the White Sox won 93 games. Houston, Seattle won 90 games. Plus the Brewers, the Cardinals. My goodness, the Cardinals, boy. They will play the Dodgers in Los Angeles. The Giants, who won the division with 107 wins, it's the most wins the Giants have ever had since they've been calling themselves the Giants since 1885. Although they did not get the 108 in the National League. We know who had 108. The last team, Los Angeles Dodgers. I think they were winning. Did they win today? Well, I'm sure they won today. But they another team 100. So you got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams with 90 games or more. Amazing year. But also you had a lot of these bottom feeders. A bunch of bottom feeders. My goodness. The Cardinal, the Orioles, uh, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, the Nationals, and the Marlins. We'll get into that as we get into the off season. But obviously, we're all here because we're Met fans. Just wanted to mention that. Uh, Hello, Aaron. Aaron says the Cardinals will win it. I am calling it. The Mariners, boy, they still haven't you get the postseason. They haven't been to postseason in a long time. That is a long time without getting there. But I'm going to get to the Mets page here. Take this off. And let's see. So the Mariners have lost. They're going home. They had such a weird season, boy. They traded their closer, and they got, Jerry DePolo just got destroyed out there. Just completely got destroyed, wrecked, beyond belief. And for some reason, they were able to sort of get back into postseason contention. Again, they haven't been in the postseason since 2001. So here's the Mets baseball reference page, which is frozen on me now. But that's all right. I don't need that so much because I have enough stuff here. I took a lot of notes. Mets finished the season 77 and 84. 77 85. Third place. Luis Rojas had just a terrible manager. I'm sorry. I don't care what they were talking about him at the Met game. Okay, here we go with the players. I have a lot of notes on the players, but I'm going to go through some of these games before we get into this. I'm going to get in, just sort of go through some highlights during the season. So I was very concerned when the season started that the Mets were going to be playing in two cold weather places in April, and that they would. I thought that they should have stayed away from Jacob deGrom in those games. That was in Colorado and Chicago. From April 16th, 17th, and 18th, they played in Colorado. On the 16th, there was a snow out. That game snowed out. The 17th, they played a doubleheader. DeGrom pitched the first game. He pitched great in that game. The Mets came back in the seventh inning, won the game. And originally he was supposed to pitch two games on that, but because of the snow out, he only pitched one. So on April 23rd, he made another start against the Nationals. But the thing is, they skipped him a day. So he's supposed to pitch on the 22nd. Or he's supposed to pitch on the 22nd in Chicago. They skipped him. So they pitched him in Citi Field. He went 9 innings, gave up 2 hits and 15 strikeouts. He went and pitched over 100 pitches. After that game, he did not do that. He did not pitch over 100 pitches. So already they babied him after having him pitch in that 30-degree weather in Colorado. Now, we have not heard from Jacob about his arm, other than him saying that his elbow was perfectly fine. I am very concerned about his elbow going forward. And the Mets are going to have to figure out what to do with him, to be honest with you. On July 7th, they shut him down for the last time because he was on disabled list a couple of times. swinging the bat, but I think it was more than just that. I think I want to point a couple of things out. And I mentioned this a few times. Is he's had a history of being hurt a lot, and because of this history, they should have had more kid gloves with him in April, not push him so hard, especially in those cold weather cities. And I use the examples of Matt Harvey pitching in Minnesota in 2013, and then later on having to get Tommy John surgery. Wouldn't be surprised that happens with the Jacob. I wouldn't be surprised. And I mentioned this a few times. This was in '91. Matt Harvey was in April. The thing about April is it's not like October where you've built arm strength up during the season. Okay, that's the biggest difference. In 1991, and his second start, Dwight Gooden pitched a game here in New York at Shea Stadium. I remember that day because I played softball with my friends, and that was a miserable day. We shouldn't have played, and he shouldn't have thrown over 145 pitches in that game. And he said that game hurt his shoulder, so he was never the same after that. So when they shut him down uh, on the 7th of July, the Mets were 45-37. All right. Since that time, they went 32-48. 32-48. That is a .400 winning percentage. Hello, Nelson. Nelson Cruz, he's going to postseason with that 100-win Ray team. Now, the biggest... Now you have July 7th. This is when DeGrom was put on the injured list. 45-37. They played a 4-game series against the Pirates. On July 11th, they had taken 2 out of 3 in that series. On July 11th, the Sunday, was a 3-game series. Was it a 4-game series or a 3-game series? Well, it doesn't matter. On July 11th, the Mets had scored 5 runs in the first inning. They had a 5-4 lead against the Pirates. And our friend Edwin Diaz blew the save and took the loss in the 9th inning. He pitched 1 in the 3rd innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, which he always puts in there, and 2 strikeouts. 30 pitches, 19 strikes, and 11 balls. Now, the Mets in that game did not add on any runs, as I said, to put the Pirates away. And Diaz blew the game. On July 16th, the Mets started the second half. 16, 17, 18, they played the Pirates again in a 3-game series. They lost the first game that Friday night, 4-1 to the Pirates. They flat as a pancake. I think we all remember. And in that game, Francisco Lindor hurt his side, and he was basically out for a month. On July 17th, they had 3 hits in the game and 1 run. July 17th, the Mets brought back J.D. Davis. He went 3 for 4 in that game, hit a home run, had 4 RBIs. Now, he's going to have to get surgery on his thumb. He's got torn ligament in his thumb. And but in that game, he went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs. That's basically his best game. His only really productive game all year. The Mets had a 7-5 lead going into the 9th inning. And they lost. They lost 9-7. And the culprit again was Edwin Diaz. Two-thirds of an inning. Walk off. Gave up 2 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, a hit by pitch, and a grand slam to the catcher, Jacob Stallings. That's it. These games against the Pirates, they went 3-4 against the Pirates. The Mets should have won at least 5-2. So you want to know where things started to fall apart on the field. That's where it should have been. Because if you taken the 2 wins that they had that were blown by Edwin Diaz, they would have won 5-2. they would have went 5-2 and would have been a very different situation down the line. Now we know about this game against the Cardinals. Well, we'll get into when the manager did not pitch Stroman later in the game. I think it's the same game. The right fielder took the home run away from Pete. Pete really got screwed because he hit two 3-run home runs in the last month, and they got brought back, and he didn't get a chance to drive in 100 runs. And last night, that wild pitch hurt his chances to get close to 100. That's why he was playing tonight, to see if he can get 100 RBIs. All right, now let's go through some of these players. I went through some of them. I'm only going to go through some of the guys that were everyday players on the Mets because the guys on the bench I don't really get too worked up about. James McCann, who they signed him to a 4-year deal. Now he's going to be the backup on this team when they bring up Francisco Alvarez. He's probably going to be the starter on this team. They might need to get another catcher in here. I was not happy with his defense. He's good at throwing batters out. I thought his calling games is very good. Hey, ding, 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 ding. Thank you, Southern Cal Mets fan. Hire Theo, the curse whisperer. It's that simple. Overpay Theo and give him full control. It's that simple. We love you. Well, thank you. But James McCann, the Mets are going to have to get another catcher in here, just as a backup. Nito's not cutting it. They have to get somebody a little bit better in here, at least offensively. Doesn't have to be an everyday catcher, but somebody a little bit better. A couple of things about McCann. Obviously, in another year or so, we're all going to be talking a lot about Alvarez. Alvarez is a big prospect. Really big. And they were talking about him, I think it was yesterday, during the on the Mets pregame, and they're very impressed with him. Jim Duquette was very impressed with him. He's going to be a big-time catcher. No lineup. He needs to catch. He really needs to catch. He didn't play last year, obviously. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about him. But with James McCann, just to give you some of the money he's going to make $8.15 million next year, $24.25 million in 2023 and 2024. He will be the backup on this team. Okay? Or he might be gone. You never know. Mets might just say, with Cohen here, he just might say, I'll eat the money and get him out of here. But we'll see. This is going to be a very different team next year. Oh, I need a drink. The catching I was okay with. But to be honest with you, they're not very good at catching balls. Catching the actual ball. There's not Gary Carter back there. Not even Mike Piazza when it comes to catching balls thrown to him. McCann had a great year with the arm. Same thing with Nito. But, boy, oh boy. A lot of work. Just need a lot of work behind the plate. Pete Alonso. The Mets basically walked through this game today. They wanted to get the hell out of there. They only had 3 hits today. But for the season, mention this one more thing about McCann. His batting average, slugging percentage, OPS, his on-base percentage are all down from his career averages. So everything that he did this year was below average, which is very strange that happened. Pete Alonso had a very strong, really second full season. 37 home runs, 94 RBIs. Very good. He should have had 100 RBIs. He missed 10 games because of his injury to his hand. He had 2 home runs taken away from him in September. He would have driven in runs last night in that 9th inning. He didn't get it. And plus, he's been on this team is bad. This team offensively is horrendous. And he had very little help other than Brandon Nimmo. 263 batting average, 344 OPS, on base percentage. OPS, 864, and 521 slugging percentage. Very good year. It's a very solid year. He has hit the most home runs of any Met in 369 games. He's had 106 home runs his first 2-3 years. And they only played 60 games last year, and so it's more than Darryl, more than David Wright. Um, Jeff McNeil, a 300 hitter his whole career. Let me go through some of his numbers just this year. 249 batting average, 317 OP on base percentage, 358 slugging percentage, 674 OPS. Pathetic. This guy's been a 300 hitter. Now I know that he is eligible to be non-tendered. The Mets should not do that. Mets should not do that under any circumstances. Hold on to him. I think he will have a bounce back. He might be the one guy that will have a bounce back year. I know that there's going to be talk about non-tender. Do not do that with him. And like I said, all his numbers are low are down from the year before and his career. Francisco Lindor. I'm not counting any games that happened. No game. None of the numbers that happened today uh, will be added to this. But over the last 184 games since last year, his batting average is 241. Slugging percentage is 415. He scored 103 runs, 29 doubles, 28 home runs, 90 RBIs. Way below his averages over the last 3 years prior to 2020. So something is going on that his statistics are starting to go down. I failed to mention this because I saw this online that his exit velocity in terms of balls that he has hit has gone down. His offense. Now, I would point out he had a very strong September. He had a very strong September. But he had a miserable season. And this thing with the thumbs down, that's not going away anytime soon. I'm not forgetting that, and no one else should either. You don't do that. That's rude. Especially, we spend all this time watching the games. We spend all this time investing in the team. We do not need somebody coming in here thumbs downing us when we just want to see the team win and play well. That's all we want. I would point out about his defense. He's got no he's got no arm. For a guy that's he's got so much hardware in terms of defensively, his arm is terrible. I think Rosario's arm's better than his. Now he's got great range, he's got great hands, but his arm is not great. How many balls did he throw on the ground and bounced it to first? A lot. A lot. Jonathan Valar. Let me take a look at him. He had a good year, but he played way too much. He played way too much for my liking. Should the Mets bring him back? I got to really think about it. I don't know if that's. I mean, he's 30 years old. I don't know. He had a good year, but when you got to rely on him so much, it's tough. That's a tough kind of you know. I mean, the Mets are going to need to do a lot more than just bringing him back. And he sort of bounced around and been on a lot of bad teams. That's the only problem with him. All right. That's a tough one. This is Dom Smith. Now, I mentioned this last year. I was not a fan of Dom Smith because I felt like people were going crazy for him because of the fact that they were doing a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff really based off the 60 games, and I did not think it was. I'd seen enough of him in terms of just his, he came into a few times out of shape. He didn't come to a spring game on time. He was late. Steve Bunting, the thumbs down thing was pure immaturity. That's another thing about this team that I noticed. I don't know if, obviously we're all Met fans. We noticed the Mets. But I noticed a real immaturity with this team. And that is something that is troubling to me going forward. It really bothers me that they have liked us. So that's something, that they got to change. This is part of the culture, not putting up with this. But Dom Smith, a lot of people wanted him to play over Pete. And you can't do that when the guy's hit 53 home runs his first season. And now he's hit 37. Okay. Let's take a look at the numbers just based off of this year. Now, this year he's a negative wins above replacement, which means that he is not he's a minor league player. He played like a minor leaguer. Now, he's been dealing with some injury, but he hasn't used it as an excuse. So, we'll see. 20 doubles, which is pathetic. He had like 20 in a short season last year. 11 home runs, pathetic. 58 RBIs, pathetic. 32 walks, 112 strikeouts. Now, if you prorate that, which I probably should do that here, because Pete's strikeouts went down. I felt that Pete's year was so much better than I think 2 years ago in terms of just consistency per bat. Now, just going based off of Pete's at bats, Smith would have more strikeouts with the same bats that Pete has. So he's got a lot more strikeouts. But 366 slugging percentage, that's pathetic. 672 OPS. His OPS plus, which 100 is considered average, to 85. Terrible. He's just had a terrible, dreadful year. And to be honest with you, he's a candidate to be non-tendered. He's a candidate to be traded. When Pete said the other day that he does not want a DH, Dom is finished here. Okay. Pete's staking his claim to first, and he should be the first baseman. Pete's a good first baseman. And since Smith has more versatility to play the outfield, he's a terrible left fielder. He'll play first base. He's good first baseman, doesn't hit enough. There's going to be, a call for him. They could non-tender him. You take a real chance non-tendering him. But there's a lack of seriousness there with him because we've seen it in the past where he's coming to camp out of shape, not showing up for a game and spring training late. Big problem. That could be a problem. But if he plays well, someone else let him. There comes a point you got to move on. And I think we're at that point with him. Brandon Nimmo. Now, here's the thing about Nimmo. He played great. He can't stay healthy. I mentioned he was my big candidate to make the All-Star team. And if you look at his numbers, these are All-Star numbers. But he only played 92 games. He had this weird hand injury. Then I guess he hurt his hamstring a little bit. You can't miss time, But he's a free agent after next season. I'm going to assume that he's probably going to play every day next year. He's not going to get hurt. He's going to have a big year. They're going to put a lot on him, and he's really earned it. He's really played well in his career with the Mets. He's just got to stay healthy. That's the problem, and he's really improved his game. I would really consider putting him in right field next year. If the Mets can't find the right fielder, that's my feeling on it. So we'll see. There's really only three guys that are going to be here in this everyday lineup. That's Pete, Nimmo, and Lindor. The rest of this lineup is you can take him, ship him out of here. Mcneal's a little iffy. Mcneal could get moved, but you're not going to get a lot of value for him. But there's three definites on this team. Mcneal, maybe. All right. Now I'm going to deal with something a little bit ticklish, and that is Michael Conforto. Boy. What a horrendous season he had. Let me just go through his numbers just a little bit. 231 batting, and this went up. This got better over the last month and a half. 231 batting average, 345 on base percentage, 385 slugging percentage, 729 OPS. Again, pathetic. This was one of the worst teams in terms of what's the number I saw? Let me see the number because they were talking about it during the Met game, and let me find because I took a picture of it. All right. Just a couple of things. Uh, in the first half, the Mets were 48 and 40, and the second half they were 29 and 45. The Mets averaged 3.93 runs per game, and the starting pitching's ERA after Jacob deGrom's last start on July 7th was 4.93. Not good. Not good at all. But going back to Conforto seemed to have like a few results. Either he would walk, get hit by a pitch, a double play, or strikeout whenever there were men on base. Whenever they were men on base. Uh, his his batting average, his on base percentage, his slugging percentage, his OPS were way down from his career averages. Just his career averages, everything across the board. Horrendous. Horrendous. He's a free agent after the season. The Mets will give him a qualifying offer so they can get a draft pick. But he's gonna be moving on, I would assume. The way he'd been talking, the way they were hugging him after the game today and City Field, he's not coming back. Um, and the rumor has been that he's not gonna take the qualifying offer. The Mets have a difficult situation with Boris now because this whole thing with Kuma Rocker. So I've been assuming for a very long time that Michael wasn't going to be here, and it's weird. I mean, the way the fans were treating him at City Field, you would think it was Darryl Strawberry. You would think it was Darryl Strawberry, Rusty Staub out there. The way he was being lauded and stuff. It's like give me a break. Hey, not Darryl. Not Darryl by a long shot. But the way they were talking about it's like, really? He's a nice guy, but I don't think he's that good. I don't think he was that good. But so I think he will be gone, and I'm sure he will burn the Mets. Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt, he will burn them. Similar to Murphy, because one, he's not gonna. First of all, think about one thing I've noticed about Michael is that Michael, whenever he's had pressure on him to perform, he has performed horrendously. We saw in 2016 when the Mets made him the number 3 hitter. They had to send him back to the minor leagues. He was that bad. Look at all the pressure that was on him this year. He played horrendous. Somebody in the chat said he was hit 199. From Crispy Cruiser, Michael was hitting 199 in late July. Yeah, I mean, that says it all right here. It says it right there. 199. That's everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about Michael. Let me just check something. But they'll give him the qualifying offer. He'll refuse it. The Mets will have a draft pick attached to it, meaning that they'll at least have 2 draft picks in the first round and a half for next year's draft. And if they don't sign any big free agents, they could have 3 draft picks. So that'll make a tremendous impact on the farm system. Just to mention about the Mets farm system a little bit and the draft. They didn't sign Kumaraka, and based off of them drafting him, they kind of used less money for these other players. That draft this year was not a very good draft, from what I understand. It wasn't like a big-time Hall of Fame talent on it. So just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about Javi Baez, who played really well here, but the Mets did not play well when he was here. Hit 31 home runs, very strong walk year. 31 home runs, 87 RBIs. Hit 299 for the Mets, 9 home runs, 22 RBIs. He did a lot of good stuff. He did lead the National League in strikeouts. His on-base percentage was very hard with the Mets, 371. But if you expect that to be 371 going forward, that is not happening. I can guarantee you that one. And I'm not sure if I want to reward Lindor's immaturity by bringing his friend here. He took a lot of heat from Lindor, and that sort of shows the complaining that Lindor has. It's very soft. I think I mentioned this that Bobby Ojeda a couple weeks ago we saw this documentary on the '86 team, and I guess some places were talking to Bobby. He said that he thinks that Lindor can't play here. Now Bobby says that. Take that to the bank. Take that to the bank. Take that to the bank. Southern Cal Mets fan wants to know who was your biggest disappointment this year, both position player and pitcher. Let's see. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Um, is Baez going to sign here? I don't know. A lot will depend on who comes here, and whether they want to bring him back. Is he going to want to take less money to play second for the Mets? I don't know. Because he'll probably make a lot more money playing shortstop for some other team than playing second base with the Mets. I would point out that I wouldn't mind playing Lindor at second. He might be more of a second baseman, from what I saw. Let me just. All right. Let's go to the pitching staff. Now, Marcus Stroman's going to be a free agent. He had a very good year. But the Mets obviously didn't score enough runs. He led the league, believe it or not, he led the league in starts. That's pretty good. For a guy that didn't pitch last year, that's pretty good. He's going to get a big offer from somebody. Wins above replacement 3.6, won 10 games, ERA 3.02. Very good season. When I re-sign him, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on a lot of these guys because of the fact that they played so poorly. They played so poorly that you want to bring any element back on this team, So we'll see. Taiwan Walker. He had a very good first half, but he basically ran out of gas the second half. He ran out of gas. The guy hadn't pitched really on a regular basis in a very long time. I think he just ran out of gas. He's got very good stuff. He's got very good stuff. He's a very good competitor. I would mention about Stroman. He's a good competitor too, but he kind of likes to fight the bad teams. He'll physically want to fight the bad teams, like the Pirates and the Diamondbacks. But the big teams, he doesn't. He sort of doesn't, cause any trouble. It's weird. And Jacob deGrom, historically great year, but he has to stay healthy. I don't know what's going. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with the elbow. Anthony asked me this: the two GMs that got in trouble for the Mets, they worked for Epstein in the past. That doesn't make you hesitant a little bit in terms of who Epstein hires if he is brought in here to be president? No, because they're not. I mean, really, it's not because I want to win a World Series. Don't you want to win a World Series? And they did not commit crimes, by the way. What they did is probably socially unacceptable, but they did not commit a crime. Okay? They're not going to jail. Although, I mean, the thing about the drinking is one thing. He obviously has a problem. That's a separate thing from what he's doing in his job. Zach Scott's. I'm sorry, I got a little confused. Zach Scott has a problem. Okay, a lot of people that alcohols and can do their job. The thing with Jared Porter is he didn't commit a crime. All right, he did. So, and we still and the women that went after him, we don't know who they are. That doesn't make me hesitant. He's a Hall of Fame general manager. They don't grow on trees. So, Tyler McGill gave up a lot of home runs. Gave up 19 home runs. It's a lot of home runs, but he pitched pretty well. Pitched a lot of innings. Mets got to be careful with him next year. but I like him. But I wouldn't assume that he's going to be in the rotation. David Peterson got hurt. Who knows what's going to happen with him? Noah Syndergaard, another thing. Don't know what's going to happen with him. They'll give him a qualifying offer, and he will take it. I have no problem with bringing him back at all. So you keep him. Carlos Carrasco. Jesus, what a disaster. Carlos Carrasco, what a complete total disaster. 12 starts, 12 home runs, 1-5, and an ERA of 6.04. That trade was a disaster for the Mets. Again, I'll mention this again. Do not make any trades with the Cleveland Indians, the Oakland A's, the Seattle Mariners, and the Angels. You stay away from those 4 teams if you're the Mets. Let's have it. And the Mariners. Can't forget about the Mariners. So it's 5 teams. These are 5 teams you do not make any trades with. Historically, they kill the Mets. Can you think? Let me ask you something. Just in general, do you know of any time the Mariners have ever made any bad trades? They may not have won a World Series and they haven't been to postseason 20 years, but they've not made one bad trade in a long time. They got They traded Ken Phelps for Jay Buhner. Not to go back that far, but and obviously the Cano trade is a disaster. And I'll bring this up. I haven't talked about Cano. He's coming back next year, so he's going to be a guy in the Mets lineup. He's probably going to be the Mets DH. So this kind of like clogs up Dom Smith, Mcneal, Michael Conforto in terms of a left-handed bat. But you don't make trades with the Mariners, the Indians. This is now the 3rd trade with the Indians in the last 25 years. That's a disaster. All right, let's go to the bullpen. The bullpen, I will say, was probably the most stable part of this team. They didn't have major injuries to it. They stayed fairly healthy. Edwin Diaz is a disaster. They're not going to move him. He's going to be the closer next year. He will be the closer next year. I don't see him moving anywhere because his numbers did improve, but I don't trust him in a big spot. Miguel Castro, very good season. He'll be back. Trevor May's got a contract. He'll be back. He's been okay, but he gives up a lot of home runs. Jeurys Familia, he'll be out of here, gone. Aaron Loop was great. I don't know what the Mets are going to do here. You have to sign him. I don't know what he's going to be looking for. We'll see. Brad Hand, you look at his numbers. Brad Hand, you look at his numbers and then you see how he pitches. It's totally out of whack. Anthony says, don't you think Lindor should apologize to the fans and the team for his bad season as well as his behavior with the Mcneal thing and the Baez thing before? He did apologize. Well, he shouldn't be saying anything about Cano. He already, first of all, he apologized. That's the thing about Lindor. He's very immature. I'm not a big fan of his. Just seeing how he is now. He's very immature. He needs to grow up. I didn't really care for some of the things he was saying during this this press conference after the game. I didn't really care for it, and so it didn't sit well with me. Brad Hand, he should be gone. I mentioned this in a video that all the years that when Sandy was the general manager, his bullpen pieces were always bad, and this is another situation. Brad Hand was terrible. Seth Lugo, you look at his numbers too. He did not have a good year. He did not have a good year at all. I don't know what's going on with that. Honestly, because the elbow, maybe he'll be better next year. But he's going to be a free agent next year after the season. So, Joey Lucchesi, you're going to miss him. He's going to Tommy John surgery. Jordan Yamamoto, who the hell knows what happened to him? He pitched 2 games and hadn't seen him since. So that's sort of the summing up of this season. Let me see if I've forgotten anybody. Let's see. Let me see if I've forgotten anybody. Let's take a peek. Kevin Pillar has a contract, a 2-year contract, which he owns the option on. I think he'll be back. He actually had an interesting season. I didn't think he was that bad. Tough guy. A lot of guys on this Mets team, and guys that aren't here. Jose Peraza missed a good portion of the season, but he had a lot of big hits off the bench. Brandon Drury, the Mets they sent him for they made him a free agent. They released him. Why? He was playing great. He was hitting great. They sent him down to the minor leagues. I couldn't believe that. You know, crazy. Joshwani Fargas. I don't know what they do with him. He hurt his shoulder, running into the wall. He was on rehab, and then they released him. Made no sense. He played really well when he was here. Let's take a quick look. Some other people here. Luis Guillermo, he'll be here just to be another piece. Let's see here. Tomas Nido, you take him or leave him. It's got to improve the catching a little bit, just for another year. Patrick Mazeika, the guy's like a chameleon. He's always changing his look. He's got a beard, doesn't have a beard, gets a haircut. Let's take a look at the pitching a little bit. Rich Hill, I don't think he'll be back next year with the Mets. He wasn't bad. He didn't pitch badly for the Mets. I'm glad he got a win the other night for them. Robert Gazelman, I think they will send him packing. They won't offer him a contract. Trevor Williams, I think he's got a contract. He might be pitching. He pitched pretty good for the Mets. Let's take a look at some of these other guys. Drew Smith, he needs to stay healthy. Sean Reed Foley needs to stay healthy. Yenzi Diaz, I didn't think he was that bad. Some of these guys they got from the Blue Jays weren't bad. That's had a lot of guys, boy. But, yeah, so we went through all the players here. Let me get back to the chat. Southern Cal Mets fan says Mets fans ran out Yamamoto and his wife. Well, that's ridiculous. From Anthony, if you're Cohen, if Epstein asked for a piece of the team ownership stake in order to seal the deal for him to come be president of the Mets, do you do it? And does Cohen do it? I would do it. I would do it. But you got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Why not? Isn't that what he wants to be part owner? Have some ownership. Anthony again, I don't want Bean. He has won nothing. Nice regular season teams with Oakland, but nothing in the playoffs. And plus, he's been in that small market all those years. How's he going to handle the pressure here? And a lot of the stuff about Moneyball is a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language. It's a bunch of crap. It's all crap. They don't mention I have not read the book. I watched the movie. They failed to mention the big pitching staff that the Oakland A's had. I guess we can get into the front office a little bit. We'll be talking about that a lot in the next 2 weeks, I would think. But the Mets are going to be contacting him probably this week. He's easy to contact. He's got he's not with any team. He's with the Major League Baseball. He's the guy I want. He's really the number one, number two guy I want is the Epstein. Because of the 3 World Series championships he has with the Red Sox and the Cubs. That's somebody you want. He's the guy you want. And then you let him hire whoever the GM is and the manager is and whatnot. That's the guy you want. Then it's sort of, I'm gonna say it's a drop off after that. But but Billy Bean is going to be prominently mentioned because his team is not in postseason, and and so uh, he'll be prominently talked about, and because he's not going to, the Mets have to get permission to talk to him. I don't think the A's will stand in his way, but I'm not too enamored with that. Anthony, is Cohen led? See, Anthony thinks that I'm like in the Mets front office. He keeps asking me questions, like I know what's going on. Is Cohen letting Alden have a say in who the new president is? I don't think he should. You? I hope not. But Dio's the number one guy. Uh, then they mentioned David Stearns, who the Brewers are in it, but I don't think they're letting him go. Uh, See, the Mets screwed up in 2017 when they asked when they were looking for a new GM. 2018. They talked to Chaim Bloom, but he wanted to basically rip apart the whole team, and they didn't like that because they knew they were selling the team. So they took Brody. I don't trust Alderson for these big moves. I think that Cohen is kind of, they're going to make the decision together. Cohen is the owner, so whoever he wants here, that's the guy he should get. And Theo is the only guy. Yeah, I don't think Stearns is leaving either. They mentioned Josh Burns, who is an executive with the Dodgers. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. But the Dodgers are going to go deep in the postseason unless the Cardinals knock them off this week. Now we have the GM. The only guy I know that would be a good GM with the Mets would be Michael Hill. I really wanted the Mets to get him last offseason. They didn't do that. It was a big mistake. And we've seen that. There's a lot of information on him. You can look him up. He was with the A's for a long time. And he was the GM with the Marlins. So now let's get to the manager. So I did a video on the manager. And I'm going to do videos on the manager. All right. I'm going to go do some of these names. And I added a name to this list just for the hell of it. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. Edgardo Alfonso, who I could see him becoming a coach. He has to get back into Major League Baseball. The worst thing Brody did was fire Edgardo Alfonso. He shouldn't have done that with Fonzie. That's a guy to keep an eye on, even as a coach. Carlos Beltran should get back in the Mets organization, get back into baseball. There's no reason not to. Let's go through some of these guys that have experience before we get into these other names. Walt Weiss managed the Rockies. I'm just going to throw a name out. Chip Hale, who managed the Diamondbacks. He was up for the Mets job in 2011. Ram Ventura, who was with the White Sox, had 2 good years and 2 bad years and got fired. Hasn't managed, I think, since 2016. So he's managed in a long time. I'll put another name down now that I think about it. Is Rick Renteria, who was the manager the year before Manning got to the Cubs, and he was with the White Sox last year. Let me just go and look at his record on the side here. But that's another guy that has experience. Has had some level of success to a certain degree. Well, no. Let's take a peek. So in 2014, he managed the Cubs right before they were bad. The White Sox finished in second last year. And I guess they got the postseason last year, and then they brought in Tony Larussa. That's a guy to keep an eye on, but his record's not very good. But how old is he? He's 59. But that's a name to keep an eye on. Um, Joe McEwing, who's with the White Sox now, and he's managed in the minor leagues, but he's got no major league experience. But he has managed in the minors. I don't think the Mets want to go down that route. I wouldn't want to go down that route. Um, I would not go down that route. Only because they've done this the last three hires, guys with no experience, and 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 two guys didn't manage at all. And Mickey, and Beltron. John Gibbons, 59 years old. 59 years old, and has a winning record. He was that manager for the Blue Jays in 2015. He's a good manager. He's managed a lot of games, 1,500 games. That's good. Bob Melvin. I'm not big on Bob Melvin because he's another guy that has not managed in the big market. He's with the Mariners, the A's, and the Diamondbacks. 6 times in his career as a manager, 90 wins, but he's not managed in a big market. That concerns me. The same thing with John Gibbons too. Hasn't managed in a big market. Ron Washington, who we saw him today when the Mets played the Braves. He's the third base coach on the Braves. He's got a winning record. 4 years of 90 wins with the Rangers. He's got 2 pennants. I know he's got a checkered past with some of the people that are down there, but he's been a successful manager. So keep an eye on him. But I've heard him with the Padres. Buck Showalter, who's my guy, is the guy I want to manage this team. He's managed in 4 different places, and he's had 4 rather successful and varying degrees. He was the manager before Joe Torre got here. Basically built up the Yankees in the 90s. Basically built the Diamondbacks from the ground up. Was in Texas for a few years. He had 2 good years and 2 really bad years with A-Rod down there. Then he went to Baltimore, and he took those teams to the postseason. Although the last few years they kind of pulled the rug underneath him. They traded Machado, and I'm sorry to hear about that, Quinn Stanky. It sucks that the Jays didn't make the postseason. Quinn is a big Blue Jays fan. Yeah, I feel bad because you guys really played well. They played great. Ronald asked me, what about someone like Buck Shaw? Well, that's what I'm talking about now. Buck has taken teams to postseason. He will command the room. He has a commanding presence on this team. Something that I think we can all agree that Louis did not have, and neither did Mickey Callaway. He's not going to fly off the handle and start screaming at reporters like Mickey did 3 years ago. So that's the guy I want. And he's hungry. He wants to manage again. You can't tell me he doesn't want to manage. He's going to have, down in Baltimore, he had a lousy owner down there. People down there are horrible in terms of ownership. Not great. So I would assume that he'd want to be here in a big way. So that's someone that is the number one guy. 65 years old. You give him a 3-year contract. I don't think you can go wrong with him at all. I think the Mets would be in very good shape if they had him as the manager. The Mets cannot bring in another young guy. As much as I'd love to see Joe McEwing here, you can't bring him in here now. Buck knows the media here. He's been around a lot for a long time. That's what gives him an advantage over Bob Melvin. The big advantage over Bob Melvin and John Gibbons. But that's what I see going down, and we'll talk a lot about this. I'll be back on Saturday doing the regular live streams. Regular live streams will be coming up on every Saturday. So around 7 o'clock, I'll come on, or between 7 and 8, I'll come on, and we'll do a live stream every week. I got a lot of stuff here that's not necessarily about the Mets, believe it or not. I have oh boy, oh boy, it's uh, hold on a second. Uh, sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. But I have a couple of stories here. One is about, which you may not know about, is that Major League Baseball is ending its agreement with Topps Trading Cards. They're gonna have like a new distributor of trading cards. I know it's so exciting. Also, Major League Baseball has some kind of deal with China. That is not good news. That's bad news. Bad news for everybody. Had enough of them, and whatever else. We'll talk about the postseason. I'm sure that Louis is gonna get fired probably tomorrow. Like I said, I'll have a video ready to go tomorrow. Um, I'll have a video ready to go, which I already did. And as soon as the news comes down the pike, or whatever you want to call it, uh, whenever that happens, I will have this video go up during the day. I'll try to keep my phone close to me as I'm working. Now, where I work is the level of, it's not great in terms of service there. So I'll try to upload the video right after the news hits, so you'll be able to hear my first take of it. It's not too much different than what it is now. Good riddance. He's a nice guy. He didn't embarrass himself like Mickey did or Beltran did, but it's just, he's just not ready. They shouldn't have made him manager. They should have brought in Dusty or Buck if they were desperate. They didn't do that. They didn't want to pay him. Hopefully, this new owner will pay the new manager. That was a big thing with the Wilpons. They just didn't want to pay the guy. They underpaid Mickey. That's why they hired him. That's why they didn't hire Girardi, and that's why we got stuck with Beltran and Louis. Hopefully, the new manager, with the new ownership, new front office, they won't be pinching pennies when it comes to who's going to run the team every day on the field. So we have a lot to talk about. If there's breaking news, like I said, I would expect probably after 9 o'clock, we'll probably hear about it. Between 9 and 1 o'clock tomorrow, it'll probably be announced that Louis is not coming back. He's got an option on his contract. They'll just tell, they'll just tell Louis, yeah, get the hell out of here. Yeah, hit the road. Hit the bricks, Junior. But there is a story, which I am not a subscriber to The Athletic, but there is some talk. There was talk because of this disaster. There was this disaster with the Padres that they might make available Manny Machado. And that would that be an interesting interesting kind of together, some kind of like trade could happen where the Mets would get Manny Machado because of the disaster that happened out there. They basically did what the Mets did, basically fell apart in the second half. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I'd want to do that. He's not really a guy that really plays hard. Doesn't play hard. Okay. That is you talk about immature teams? That team out there was extremely immature. That's the one thing I noticed about them when the Mets played them. how immature they acted on the field. You know, the running around the bases. Tatis needs to grow up a little bit, and it's just a very strange mix. From Roberto, McCann needs to go. He hasn't done shit for the Mets, and I'm glad Louis is gone. Well, Louis not gone yet, and McCann's not going anywhere because they're still going to need somebody in here. They need to get another catcher in here to help him out. We need Theo Epstein, a good manager who knows how to handle the team and knows what he's doing. We need a new closer. Well, the closer, I don't think Edwin Diaz is going anywhere. He's got another year on his contract. Unless they find some kind of value for him, I don't think so. Um, so we will see. This team's gonna. We saw all the changes the Mets made last year. All the changes they made last year. They're gonna be even bigger changes now. I mean, you're gonna have a new manager. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. So just keep an eye on what I do here. You want to subscribe to this channel? I do the best I can to get you stuff out as quickly as I can. And I propose trades, which pisses a lot of people off. I was the first to talk about Trevor Story getting moved, and the Mets bringing in another shortstop, and that's exactly what they did, especially after Lindor got hurt. And Trevor Story did not go anywhere. He didn't go anywhere because there was no value. He had no value. But let me just check what's going on here. Oh, my God. But over the next couple of months, we're going to have a lot to talk about, obviously. And we're going to have a lot of fun here. And, this is a situation where the new owners come in. And the Wilpons did not have a great front office. They had this front office. So he needs to bring in somebody that's not going to be afraid to get rid of everybody. He has to. You never hear anything bad about this front office, but they don't win. The same goes to the scouting. The scouting does not do a good job. The advanced scouting doesn't do a good job. We'll see. But it's not all bad. The Mets have four big prospects. They have Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, Brett Beatty, and Ronnie Mauricio. I don't think any of them are going to get moved. You can't move them. The Mets are going to have to seriously think about what they want to do with Vientos and Beatty going into next season, because Vientos is playing in AAA now. Finished the season in AAA, and he had a big year. He had 25 home runs, a little over 300 at bats. Had a big year. So they're going to have to decide what they're going to do with these guys. And I'm not sold on signing Baez. And I'm not sold on Manny Machado, for that matter, myself. I don't know if I want to bring he's a bit of a malcontent. The only guy that can probably handle him is probably Buck Showalter, his first manager. But he's a bit of a malcontent. You got to be very careful with him. So, but that's pretty much it. I'll be back again on a live stream on Saturday, which will be the regular days for the live streams on this channel, except for November 6th. I won't be here November 6th. Going to an engagement party, believe it or not. So I'll be back on Saturday. There might be regular live streams on the Baseball Hut 2. This is my other channel. Let me give you the link to the Baseball Hut 2 so you can subscribe to that. And I'll have content on there. Let me see if I can find my link. I'll put that into the chat. And of course, we'll be back. We'll be back. I like doing the videos. As long as you like me doing the videos, I'll keep doing them. So. Find my link. Let's see. Yeah, so I have the second channel. It's doing pretty good. I'll have content on there, but it's a little bit of a sort of a real variety. Let me just clean this up. I'll send the link out. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. All right. Here's the link to the Baseball Hut 2. And hopefully you subscribe to that. From Anthony. Anthony wants to know about Chris Bryant. You know, he mentioned something. I heard something. I read a story back in last offseason that he wasn't too happy about being criticized in Chicago. So I don't know if he can if he'd be able to handle it here either. So I don't know about it. I changed my mind about him, but we'll see. But I want to thank you all for coming by. Hello, Ernie, one of the Ernies. I haven't seen you in a while. Ernie Labar. I haven't seen this guy in like months. All these Ernies. Ernie Lamar, Ernie Delgado. Anyway, thank you for coming by. Be back on Saturday here at the regular Baseball Hut. And maybe we'll have a live stream on Sunday with the Baseball Hut too. We'll see. We'll see. Hello, James. How you doing? Everybody's coming in late. Changes must be made. We need structure and upper management and some gamers who play to win. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. And if you're coming in late, you need to watch the whole video, the whole subscribe, the whole live stream. John Pastor says, nice podcast. Well, thank you. But I want to thank you all for coming by. I want to thank you for sticking with the channel for the past year. We're going to do a lot more content here, a lot more videos, live streams here. Like I said, weekly live streams. If there's a trade, I'll come on, do a trade. Most of my competition is basically gone. I'm sure there'll be others that will come during the off season. We're going to be very busy with the CBA, very busy with what's going on with the Mets, the new general manager, the new front office, the new manager, a lot of new players. This is going to be some off season, bigger than last year. And we got new owner. We're going to get new headed. And I mentioned this about Sandy. He's only on one more year. So he's got to make this move. Whatever move the Mets make has to be the right move. But we'll see. So I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you. And I'll see you later.